For the vast majority of people, steroids are a better performance enhancer, just simply due to the fact that that is exactly what they do. They increase muscle mass and strength, whereas stem cells are more regenerative. But if you're an old, injured jalopy that has been using steroids for many years, stem cells will create a significant boost to one's performance, simply due to the fact that they will regenerate your connective tissue to where it should be, perhaps even stronger, which of course allows you to utilize the muscle mass you have developed. With training, there is a point of diminished returns. Being able to train harder and more often only really works to a point. With intelligent training, that point can be reached even with suboptimal tendons and ligaments, excluding if you have serious injuries. The benefits of strengthening tendons and ligaments mostly come into play to avoid injury when competing or hitting a major PR or just feeling better by generally being in less pain. But broadly speaking, if you're risking injury when training, you should probably reevaluate your training style. You are introducing an undifferentiated cell type into your body to stimulate growth. Stem cells have the potential to trigger immune reactions, grow into the wrong type of cells, produce tumors, maybe even cancer. Anything that heavily stimulates growth and replication has similar potential risks, but stem cells are uniquely versatile in this regard. As with Michael Todd, apparently he was told his stem cell-formed tissue was new and needed appropriate conditioning to catch up with the rest of his body. It could potentially help them train harder than they currently do if they're older and were injured and had spots that needed healing from the cells, but not harder than they ever have done. Even Devon is still more careful with his weight training protocol than he was in his younger days. Once you're strong and get badly injured, you can get stuff like stem cells to help your recovery. But ain't nothing winning top tournaments or beating people top 10 in the world in their weight class without drugs, only with stem cells. Stem cells, at best, help you recover back to your baseline if you are below it. Yes, there might be a relative improvement, but they won't take you past where you otherwise would be uninjured. That's just not how they work. The stem cells help the repair by releasing exosomes, which signals your body to repair, not by becoming the type of cell. Once the stem cells differentiate, they get eliminated by the immune system. Therefore, most of the repair, if any, will occur in the first 6 to 8 months. Devon's on so much different stuff that, at this point, even he doesn't know what exactly has worked for him so far that have made him this mighty. They were referring to the various drugs he may be using, but the thing is, he has likely used most of those drugs at some point already over the years. They didn't just all of a sudden, at nearly 50, turn back his age. Your body won't tolerate humongous doses of anabolics at that age anyway. I think it's very likely the stem cells work. They weren't born out of business. It's a medical development. They have been studying. They work. Not perfect. And everyone will respond to differing degrees. But the science is sound. And you note the time frame, but maybe Devon is a hyper-responder. The statistical data surely has outliers on both ends. Devon has been very active this year, which I think stem cells allowed him to do. Through being so active and committed, he has made tremendous gains in strength. Others who do stem cells and expect the same results without the activity level and commitment won't see that because it's not the stem cells that make you stronger. Being 260 pounds, 120 kilos with a six-pack, without training anything else than his right hand. He's super tall with a big frame anyway. He was very physically active when younger, and maintaining muscle isn't that hard. Six-pack is mostly a matter of leanness and diet, not really relevant to his training style. Obviously he's on gear, but his weight and leanness aren't anything spectacular for an athlete on gear. The reality is that you're just never going to be able to tell. Steroids aren't a matter of the more you take, the stronger you get. Everybody has a differently shaped response curve, and two people can get the exact same maximum benefit from gear. Their ceiling, with gear, is the same relative height about their base, but at two very different quantities of gear. We know they're all on a bunch of gear. That's about as certain as we can even speculate. What's crazy is that he was able to be as good as a full-time Special Forces soldier while dealing with crippling injuries. I think what we are seeing now is the culmination of years of training, full-time commitment, and good health. He looked leaner, healthier, and younger against Hermes than he has in years. He didn't seem to lose any strength and regained some of his endurance while competing at 120 kilos. The Devon Larratt that beat Pushkar showed he could be this savage when healthy and focused. He definitely isn't doing crazy drugs like the Georgians and Russians, and has stated he doesn't want to sacrifice life longevity. I just think he has found the perfect balance. Unfortunately, guys like Levon and Dennis have taken 30 years off their life to be the greatest, and it will push others to do the same, to be competitive. Devon, I think, dabbled at that extreme level for Levon and didn't think it was worth it. And as a very special genetic athlete, I think he has found the perfect balance of healthy supplementation. Larry Wheels was shocked at what Levon was taking, which should tell you something. He has improved massively, but most of that occurred leading up to Levon. People just couldn't see it because he lost the match. That match could have turned out different if Levon's wrist was just 10% weaker. It was clear from the Gennady match that Devon's top-end strength has significantly improved, and his endurance on top of that makes him a contender for number 2 in the world. Unfortunately, the fans couldn't see past the result and continued to underestimate Devon. I'd say that Devon right now is around 5% stronger than when he faced Levon. Levon made it look dominant because he was the only guy in the world with a strong enough cup to contain Devon's pronations somewhat. In addition to the drugs and everything else, I think we do have to credit Devon's training methods. I think he's at fault sometimes for not targeting some of the bigger muscle groups and performing full body routines for his general robustness. But at the same time, there is merit to be found in how he specifies the micro muscles for an advantage. Strength can take a long time to develop, and he's stuck with some of these micro movements and his rep schemes, which now appear to be paying dividends. I wouldn't go as far as to say no other version of Devon comes close. He was probably a better hooker in the past and had greater stamina, and has always, when uninjured and peaked, been up there with the best. But I would say he is better overall than before by a small yet significant margin. I think he's just happy with the way he's able to perform. In the last 10 years, he hasn't had the elbow integrity to do what he always wanted to do, capable of doing. He thinks stem cells have played a major role in gaining him that solid elbow integrity again.
And he starts to put his strategy to bear. He starts to bleed out the giant American, and it's one